Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. This is Mr. Wills.
And this is Brittany.
And some sad news today, Britt. Beloved actor and Quaker Oat and diabetes testing spokesman Wilford Brimley has left us. He was a lovable man, and he died at the ripe old age of 85 due to some complications from kidney failure. We recorded this a few months back when we were getting ready to launch this podcast. We were kind of sitting on it, but I thought with his passing, people might be watching the thing, and maybe they could sync this up and listen to our watch-along as a tribute to Mr. Wilford Brimley. I remember seeing him when I was a young kid before I even saw the thing on the Quaker Oats commercials. And then actually he was in a Star Wars TV movie about Ewoks called Battle for Endor, which I'm a huge fan of the Ewoks. And he played this character named Noah, who helps the young protagonist Sindel and our favorite Ewok, Wicket, battle the evil creatures in the Battle for Endor. So Wilford Brimley, he's amazing in the thing. He was a sweet man. He was the butt of a lot of memes and a lot of diabetes jokes. And it was all in good fun, though, because unfortunately I never got to meet him, but all my friends that I've met Wilford Brimley say he was a lovely man. So rest in peace, Mr. Brimley. We love you here at Signals from Pittsburgh. Britt, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I knew him through various things, mainly The Thing. It took me a long time to make the connection between him and Quaker Oats. And kind of an embarrassingly long time. Eventually I made that connection, and he did seem like a sweet guy from what I've heard. And my most fond memories are actually from The Thing, and he's got some of the best line delivery in that movie out of anybody. Definitely made me laugh in kind of a dark way, but he was perfect in that, and he definitely will be missed. We won't get any new material from him again, but we have plenty to look back on now. So.
We love you, Mr. Brimley. Rest in peace. And please enjoy our watch along for The Thing.
This is Signals from Pittsburgh. We sincerely hope you're staying safe during these crazy ass times. So with the current situation of being quarantined, we have decided to record our very first watch along episode. Keeping with current events, today's theme of the podcast is isolation and paranoia. So curl up tight and prepare yourself for this claustrophobic classic.
Yes, that's right. So tonight we're watching John Carpenter's The Thing. The Thing was released in 1982, and it's a remake of the classic Howard Hawks movie directed by Christian Nyby. Though rumor has it that Hawks did most of the heavy lifting during the filming. Technically, Carpenter's take on The Thing is closer to the short story Who Goes There by John W. Campbell Jr., but tonight's film stars the leading man and my absolute favorite movie hunk, Kurt Russell. He's a real powerhouse in this movie, and I gotta say, he just takes charge of every situation and scene, and I love it. Deep down, though, I prefer Kurt's look in Escape from New York. He's a bit too bundled up in this film, and of course, I like to see more skin if I can. But either way, I absolutely love this film, and it's in my top 5.
I completely agree with you, Britt. Top 5 candidate for me as well. When I was young, though, what initially drew me to this film, I had no idea or preconceived notion about it, was the amazing poster. Drew Struzan is the artist. They commissioned him for the painting, which features this ominous hooded figure cast in a shadow and this just bright, foreboding light emanating from its hood. It's a timeless, iconic image. When you look at that image, you feel cold, fear, and you know it's The Thing, which is not bad considered he rocked it out in 24 hours and he only had a brief synopsis of what the movie was about, but it is clearly 100% my favorite movie poster of all time.
Definitely. Same for me. The poster is brilliant. I love it. And it always stood out to me growing up when we'd go to the movie stores to rent movies. There's a poster of it in our local Blockbuster. And I always found myself looking at the VHS. I was a little too young at the time for my parents to rent it, but I was always fascinated by the cover art. But a little bit more about the movie before we start. The film was released in June of 1982, to critical and commercial failure. It really didn't do very well. Most critics just hated it, mainly because I think it was a bit too extreme for the standard audience back in the early 80s. It was definitely a little bit ahead of its time there. It did, however, find its way into horror film history with home video release, and is now considered a classic by genre and non-genre fans alike.
All right, so you folks at home, get ready to sync up your streaming, DVD, Blu-ray, and or VHS copies, and prepare for the ultimate experiment in terror.
All right, so for those of you who have never done a watch along, how it works is you're just going to sync up your DVD or Blu-ray or whatever you have you at home to what we're watching, and we're going to give you our running commentary. So right now, the preferred version of the Blu-ray we are watching is the Scream Factory Collector's Edition. And we're going to kick it over to Brittany here. She's going to give us a countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. Brittany, will you lead us through the countdown, please?
Sure. Okay. So we're going to go 3, 2, 1, and we're going to go on go, because that's the type of person I am. Where I have it synced up for you guys at home is on my screen, it's 001. But for any of you who it might not sync up perfectly to that time code, it says a universal picture. So the moment that comes onto the screen, that's where you're going to want to be ready to hit play. So I guess we're ready for the countdown then, are we, Will?
We're ready for the countdown.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
So this is a universal picture.
It is a universal picture. And it's the first thing you find out.
It is.
They really want you to know.
They really want you to know. They throw it out there like the famous monsters. So technically, the Thing is a universal monster, if you think about it.
If you think about it, yes. I never thought about that.
Music by Ennio Morricone. Just a little insight on that. Usually John Carpenter scores all of his films, but he handed this one off to Ennio. He was a big fan of his due to his spaghetti westerns like Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I'm sorry, Once Upon a Time in the West, and what I was trying to say is spaghetti western trilogy with Clint Eastwood, where he did Fistful of Dollars for a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's what he was known for, but this was kind of his first, step into the sci-fi realm with this.
Yeah, I heard that the Carpenter hired him to kind of make a soundtrack in Morricone style, and then he ended up, writing a soundtrack that sounds more Carpenter. But I think it all worked out.
Oh, it totally did. Yeah, you're right, though. That's exactly it. He hired him because he liked his style, and then he just kind of gave back what Carpenter would have done. But Carpenter still loved it. And I love this effect here with the UFO coming in. This is really cool. As a kid, I caught this a lot on TV, and I always missed this part. But then when I actually bought it, I'm like,
Me too.
I've always missed that. This part coming up here is cool.
So I always loved this part. And these days you would just do it as like a little motion graphic animation. But back in the day, the guy that did it, his name is Peter Kieran. I think that's how you say it. He ended up filling a fish tank with water and putting kind of like an outline cutout behind it and just blasted light through it and lit the garbage bag on fire until it kind of lit up and revealed the titles. And it shows how much more work had to go into it back then. Makes me appreciate this stuff.
That's super cool.
He said it took him like so many tries and the whole studio smelled like burnt plastic. And
Did he stencil out the letters? So that's the only thing I don't understand. So how did he?
He stenciled them out on paper and then glued the paper to the back of the fish tank, I think. And then he put garbage bag behind that and then burnt the garbage bag.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So
that's cool shit. All right.
I thought it was really cool. You have to be really inventive when you do this stuff practical.
Hell yeah, you do. This will all be CG now too. That helicopter.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm just
It depends on the director.
Depends on the director. Yes.
Producer,
we got-
director. Yeah.
What I thought was great about this movie too is there's matte paintings, but I can barely tell, like from a set and from a matte painting, or from location and from a matte painting.
Yeah, they really hold up.
Look at this dog. He's so cute.
So this is Jed the dog. This was one of his first movies.
Oh, so this is a legit actor.
He's a real actor. He has his own IMDb page.
That's awesome. What else was he in?
He was in White Fang 2, and The Journey of Natty Gann.
Okay.
I don't know how many of you guys have seen that, but this was his first acting role.
That's cool. This is a great one. There's another actor who we'll meet here in a little bit who it's also his first acting role, major role rather, but double debut movie here for some people. And if they hit the dog here, the movie doesn't happen.
Or does it? I mean, would they have to hit him with more than bullets? We don't know.
Good question.
That could be like a spin-off series somebody could do, like a fan spin-off.
Yeah, what would happen? What would be the next Choose Your Own Adventure movie? Choose Your Own Plotline.
Oh, yeah, like those Goosebump books. Do you remember those?
Oh, yeah. And here we go, the scientist working the... Oh, here's one of my favorite scenes. Him drinking some JB whiskey. We're wondering if... We were talking before off screen. We're wondering if JB sponsored this film because there's a lot of JB in this.
There sure is. I think he just really liked JB and he was like, sponsor or not, that's what I'm drinking.
Yeah. What do you think of Kurt Russell here? I know you're a big fan of him.
I am. The movie gets 5 stars already. Just from this opening scene. No, he's great.
The only female voice in the movie, the chess wizard, cheating bitch, that's such a great line. Chess wizard was voiced by John Carpenter's wife at the time, Adrienne Barbeau, which is great. And I love how he just opens that up. You can't open, at least back then, I don't think you could open a computer that easily and just like dump shit into the mainframe or into the
I don't think so. I don't think
rather.
they made it that easy to just kind of get in there, but.
Right, but whatever. It works.
It works. It's movies, okay? It's the movies.
It is the movie. It's movie magic, baby. So here we go. Here's Jed the dog, as you delightfully call him.
The outpost looks so good in that revealing shot.
Yes, Outpost 31 is the number of their outpost, for those of you. And there's actually a fan group headed up by Todd Cameron. He's the self-professed world's biggest Thing fan. He put on Thing Fest. He actually owns props from the movie. They went back to this location when it thawed in 2009, I believe, and found a bunch of pieces.
That's awesome.
So cool.
I don't know, some of these world's biggest fan people, I can't, like, I think it's cool that they, like, get to do all this stuff or find all this stuff, but I don't think I would ever, I don't know if I'd be dedicated enough to be a world's biggest fan. Or maybe it's just a natural thing.
I think I like so many things that I don't know if I could commit to just one thing, but...
Yeah, I feel like I couldn't focus enough on just one, but that's what everybody else is for.
But I appreciate you, and you can follow Todd on Twitter at outpost31.com, and outpost31 is his handle on most things. So definitely check out his stuff. He keeps up to date on all thing-related stuff. I'd like to check him out once in a while. Aw, look at that pup.
This part always makes me laugh.
Shit.
Yeah. I don't know what he thinks he's going to accomplish there.
Right. I mean, whatever.
I mean, they're pretty desperate.
Now, if you speak Swedish, ooh, that's a nasty hit. If
Norwegian.
you speak, yeah, I'm sorry, Norwegian. Yeah. What do they speak in Norway? Norwegian? Did I say Swedish?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, you
I said Swedish. He kind of looks like the Swedish chef. That's why I said Swedish. Doesn't he, though? That's what.
He does a little bit, yeah.
One shot. Yeah, if you speak Norwegian, thank you for the correction, Brittany. He is saying something along the lines of "Don't trust that thing. It's not really a dog." So the movie's spoiled.
Yes. So if you speak Norwegian, you get a spoiler. You know what would have been cool though if they released the Norwegian version of the Blu-ray or DVD and they changed the language to keep it
to like American. Yeah, to English, to American.
Yeah,
to American
to
English.
American. Okay, I speak American.
I speak American English. For a second, I was like, oh, I saw the snow on McCready's pants, and I was like, oh wait, that's not I thought it was the urban camo from Escape from New York. So this is the first.
No, you wish though. I wish he just wore a tank top this whole time.
He would die from exposure, silly.
No, he wouldn't. He's too tough.
Is too tough.
So there we have Clark, our lumberjack. He's got that lumberjack hipster look, a little bit ahead of his time there.
He's rocking it.
I feel like he's the only one that looks like he came out of the 2000s or something.
I kind of look like R.J. McCready when I don't shave. Not this good looking, but
when you grow that beard out.
When I grow my beard out, but I don't think I'm a trendsetter. But yeah, no, Clark definitely.
I love Windows. Wears those sunglasses indoors.
Yeah, Windows rocks. He's one of my favorite characters. Portrayed by Thomas G. Waits, not Tom Waits, but
the other Tom Waits.
Yeah, could you imagine the other Tom Waits as Windows?
Oh god, it would be a slightly different movie.
It would be a whole different movie. I can't get anybody on this goddamn thing, yeah. I do love me. Knowles is one of my favorite characters too. He's just the poor cook and roped up in all this bullshit.
I know, he's awesome. I love that he's on roller blades. Or I did that last time I watched this. I did the same thing. Roller skates.
The roller skates, Brett.
4 wheels.
Yeah, he's not wearing very tight shorts.
No.
He's not sketching. Palmer, actually, you know what? You said proto hipster, but Palmer's kind of got the metal kid cut. You know what I'm saying? Like the biker cut / he's got patched. He's patched up, so
yeah.
He does got a hipster look to him too.
He does. A different type of hipster look.
Yeah, definitely.
I love him.
Yeah, he's awesome. It looks like Palmer may have been in a motorcycle gang or something.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. I always took this as these guys were kind of, it's just a mishmash of all kinds of people. Like McCready seems like he's just a loner. Same thing with, and then like
Doc and Larry are very just like, you know, affable, nice guys, just like, you know, well-to-do, you know, at their profession. And then you got Windows and Palmer. They're just kind of out there.
They are. They're kind of wacky.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, I don't know, chilling back.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the mashup of people they chose.
Yeah, this is good. And no women. You notice, like, there are 0 women in this outpost. It's all guys.
Yeah. That's true. What's that all about?
Actually, I'll tell you in a little bit. Just remind me, but there is a woman in this film, and that was confirmed by John Carpenter. Let me reiterate that again. Let me clarify. There is a female in this film.
Okay. The dog.
I'll tell you.
Okay. I'll be on my toes.
I'll fill our listeners in here in a little bit. But think about it. Think about there's a female in this film, according to director John Carpenter.
Okay.
In an interview he did with Rue Morgue.
Okay.
Jed the dog.
He lived to be 18 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he lived to be an old dog. He had a good long life.
He did have a good long life. There's I like the use of, there's only really one pop song in this entire movie, and it's Superstition by Stevie Wonder. So what a good song if you're going to put anybody over.
Yeah, if you're going to pick one pop song to put into a movie like this.
Yeah, Superstition. And I've never really, you know, there's so many nods and little things in this film that you're like, oh shit, yeah, Superstition. Like, what the writing on the wall? It's like spelling. It's like kind of John going here. Like, but it was like, oh, but I'm into this movie. Look, it's Kurt Russell. So this movie, the producer of this film actually wanted to make this movie in a lot earlier, 1979, and he had John Carpenter in mind because he had just done Halloween, and he wanted to do a remake of Howard Hawks' The Thing. And I didn't find this out till recently. So this movie could have come out earlier, and then we may not have had, you know, the magic, you know, of Rob Bottin. You know, Rob Bottin could have been tied up. So it's kind of, and you know, Kurt Russell, who knows? Like we wouldn't have had any of the great things that we do have about this movie. But it was, Carpenter was kind of uneasy about it at first because he didn't want to remake his classic movie, his classic Howard Hawks classic movie, because he was such a big fan of it, which I thought was kind of funny because later on in Carpenter's career, Rob Zombie, who was a huge fan of Halloween, remade his Idols movie, so it was kind of came full circle for him.
Interesting how that works out.
It's interesting how it works out, but it's funny. It's like you just, what's in the ether, the timing. You know, this came out, I mean, when it came out, yes, it was critically panned, and that's well documented. It's since, you know, grown to be not even a cult classic, just a horror classic, or a horror sci-fi classic, and classic in special effects and just movie making in general. But if this came out a couple years earlier, you know, maybe it wouldn't have had the right mix. You know, it would have been a completely different film.
It's all about timing. And sometimes you can't plan that out. It just kind of has to happen.
Yeah. It's happy accidents or happenstance, you know, maybe him dragging his feet a little bit, you know, worked in his favor to
Worked out better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Rob Bottin was pretty young too when he got involved with this. I think
Yeah,
he was 20, what was he, 21? 22?
22. He had just come off doing The Howling. Yeah, which is also another great film. Joe Dante. And ironically, this came out a couple weeks after E.T. came out, and people just weren't in the mood for a dark, stark, paranoia, over the top, with special effects, grim sci-fi horror movie because they had just watched E.T. and it got trounced at.
Feely, yeah. I was watching special features on this, and they were talking about how they swapped release dates with Cat People. So Cat People was supposed to come out on the weekend that this came out, but I guess the production was kind of all over the place with Cat People, and they got delayed. So they're like, okay, we're just gonna swap you guys. So they ended up kind of shoved in that position, and I don't think it worked out for them right after ET.
No, I just think in general, though, the audience, it's like that. There's a meme that goes around online from Back to the Future. It's got Marty McFly with the Back to the Future, and or in the famous film where he's saying he starts to shred on the guitar, and all the people at the 50s sock hop or the 50s like prom like kind of look at him and be like, "What the hell, dude?" And he's like, "You aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are gonna love it." That was the meme. The meme referenced this, but they put the thing in there. Or John Carpenter's The Thing. It's like, you're not going to get this, but your kids are going to love it.
That's amazing. That's perfect.
I love that scene.
Me too. I love that. I love all those movies. Back to the Future is great too.
It is.
I could watch it at any time, just like this movie. I never get tired of it.
This movie, yeah, it's so beautiful to look at. I love blue. Blue is my favorite color, so just sit there. But a lot of this is white, but the marketing, like the art, as we mentioned, the art design in this is just awesome.
Yeah, lots of whites, blues. I think there's some red. They get some red light in there later.
Yeah. And this is this is a good setup too. If you think about this movie, it starts out as a slow burn. You're like, if you haven't watched this, what the hell's going on? They go and examine, they get shot at by, a Norwegian helicopter pilot who looks like the Swedish Chef. And then they, go and examine this base, and then they find this guy who really killed himself in the most awful way, fucking opened up his veins and slit his throat. That's dedication. I'm not even sure how to do it. Overkilling himself. So he saw some shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a sign that you should probably just leave now.
Yeah, you got to get the hell out of there.
I would never do well in these situations. I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to leave now. All right? This is it. I'm out of here.
But where do you go? You're not going anywhere. It's Antarctica, so there's nowhere to go. Like
I'll leave before that storm comes in that they're talking about.
You can't leave the hill. You're going to leave those guys there. They're not going to have it.
Yeah, I guess you can't do that.
It's going to be a mutiny.
You'd have to convince the pilot to take you, and that would be hard.
Yeah, I don't think Mac might take you somewhere. I think you'd like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. We can. You know what? I could seduce Mac to take me somewhere.
I believe that. Maybe, there's a scene.
Me out of there.
We're going to see here. Just Rob Bottin's handiwork. So, just to touch a little on Rob Bottin, he is the star of the movie. The Thing is the star of the movie, and don't have any qualms about anything. I love Kurt Russell. This ensemble cast, including, Wilford Brimley, and then we're going to see in a few Keith David, and everybody in this movie in the ensemble cast kicks ass. But there is one star of the movie, and that is The Thing, and The Thing is Rob Bottin.
That's a good way to put it. It is. It's all him.
It is, and don't get me wrong.
Getting hospitalized or something because he was working so nonstop on this thing.
This is his magnum opus.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
So it begins. I like how Jed the dog intently watches them. He's thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna eat some." You know, this is barbecue. I'm gonna have some of this. This is intense.
Steamy.
It's steamy. Eat up, guys. You know, let me go get some plates.
Looks on their faces are really good, actually.
Yeah, I was just thinking
Very
that.
believable.
Yeah, you have no idea. Like, what the hell did they just find? Like,
What am I looking at? What happened? Just what?
right? Yeah, the reaction. It's all in the faces. That's some bang up special effects work there. I mean,
Yeah. Takes some real talent.
definitely a 22-year-old wonder kid.
I know. I can't imagine being that successful or good at your craft at that age. Kind of jealous.
He put in the work.
He did.
Rob
But the
O'Teen.
opportunities he was able to get, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is such an awesome movie. Back to Rob. He did Piranha with Joe Dante. He did The Howling with Joe Dante. So he was kind of like a favorite between, you know, Carpenter and Joe Dante. He kind of had a built-in home with those two guys. I like that too. It's kind of like the George Romero, Tom Savini thing, where, you know, you stick with you dance with the date that brung you, as they say. So, and Carpenter gave him carte blanche. He essentially went to him and said, "We can do whatever you want with this movie." And Rob O'Teen said, in that case, the thing's going to be everything. It's going to be everyone. And then Carpenter kind of was like surprised, and he said, "Okay, how are you going to do that?" And he actually, you were telling me off air about the storyboards, about you were looking at. So what can you go into that?
Yeah, so the storyboards were made by a comic book artist. I can't remember his name all of a sudden.
Mike Ploog.
Oh yeah, Mike Ploog. That's right. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that slipped my mind. Yeah, they worked together with Mike Ploog on that. And he has some really cool stuff. I see why they chose him to help out with the storyboards. His work is pretty grotesque.
Yeah, he created Man-Thing, the look of Man-Thing.
Yeah. That and what was the other thing I was gonna say? Oh no, it was that contest in Fangoria.
Yeah.
They didn't end up really using anything from that contest, I don't think, to make the movie, but it was more like a fun promotional thing that they did with Fangoria and its readers. And they put out this contest that called for people to submit what they thought the thing would look like. So they got all these cool submissions, and I think it was about a year later they announced a winner, and I'll mention that later on after the movie's over. Go into that a little bit more, but I thought that was a really cool way to promote it through Fangoria and kind of highlight the artwork and what the thing can actually be, because it can be anything and everything, but I feel like that's hard to imagine.
Yeah, it's and to weave that into the story is really cool. It really gives Carpenter to where if you watch the Carpenter Carte Blanche 2, when you have, when you put your faith in young, innovative artists and they just deliver on all fronts like Rob Bottin did with this, which is cool. I mean, compared especially to the original thing from Another World with James Arness, he looked more like a Frankenstein monster, which is a great movie in its own right. Definitely worth checking out. But oh my god, like this scene with the dog, this is terrible. I mean, I remember seeing this as a child, like, and just freaking the hell out because, like, what the fuck, like, can you imagine? Like, still to this day, this poor dog just trying to get out. These poor dogs.
I know. I always felt bad for that dog. I'm like, he's just trying to like bust out of here, and he's making some progress, but poor dude.
Yeah. This almost like Lovecraftian kind of creature from the brain of, because when Mike Ploog did the storyboards, Rob Bottin fell in love with a lot of the designs and kind of tweaked them a little bit. But yeah, the creative efforts of them gave us what we see on the screen, like what have become
perfect choice, perfect combination.
Yeah, absolutely. They become iconic. I mean, they made action figures of 2 of the creatures.
That'd be cool to have some of those.
Yeah, they did. Can't remember if it's the Movie Maniac. I believe it's the Movie Maniacs line, the Todd McFarlane ones, that they did a Blair creature, and they did another one. They did. Well, you'll see.
Something's up.
He's got the sixth sense.
Fire alarm.
That's the best way. Now he's gonna have to tap that beer before he opens it because it's gonna go everywhere.
Oh god, yeah, that's right. Don't worry, he knows what he's doing. That's a man that knows how to drink a beer.
He's a man of action.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else is befuddled, and here we go. Childs. Keith David and his star. Well, it's kind of a starring role. This is his premiere role. Yeah. It's an ensemble cast.
A lot of these actors were theater actors, so they had never really been on screen. They were actors, but they had never really been on a big screen before.
And I know that just so fucking grotesque. It's great. Just visceral. And the sounds that the monsters make in this movie. The sound design in this movie is great.
Yeah, the Foley work. The music. It's hard to find information on sound effect work and Foley work, I think. Even with all the special features on this, they don't talk a whole lot about, exactly what they use to get these just disgusting sounds.
The magician can't show you all of his tricks all the time.
I know, even though I want to know all the answers.
Maybe that is something,
though, because if you wanted to do your own Foley work, you'd have to get creative and figure it out yourself. It's probably better that way.
Absolutely. Everything is just so disgustingly jelly, like covered in KY or...
Oh my god, yeah. Slimy.
And then Childs. So we need you for a movie. You're going to play Childs, and your first major scene, you're going to be blasting a big fucking creature with a flamethrower. It's like, welcome to Hollywood, Keith David.
This is going to be your big hit.
This movie actually did put him on the map, even though the movie itself got critically panned. One of the positive, even Roger Ebert, who kind of shat all over the movie when it came out, said, Keith David did a great job in his, first role. So good for him. And then he later went on to be in They Live with Roddy Piper, one of my personal favorites.
Oh Yeah, that's so good. I need to rewatch that soon.
Yeah, I love that. John Carpenter
Yeah, that
just
seems
had
to happen a lot with people. I mean, even if the movie doesn't do great right away, stuff like this puts people on the map, get some attention for them.
Yeah, you can have, you know, a good breakout performance and just one thing leads to another and bam, you know, you're a star. I mean, you go back, it's funny, I love revisiting old films and just seeing like, oh, that's where this, I remember him after, especially somebody has reached mega stardom. You're like, yeah.
Mhm.
Like, for example, not to get too off topic, but like if you watch Donnie Darko, you go look back at that and like young Seth Rogen's in there.
Is he?
Yeah, exactly. He's like the friend. He's like the one guy. He's the friend of the goons. Yep.
Oh my God, he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young people. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this was a good start.
And Keith David, who later went on to voice the president on Rick and Morty, one of the most popular shows on television. So.
Really? I didn't know that either.
Yeah, yeah, he does the voice of the president. It's great, and he actually has a battle with Rick. Spoiler alert. Wilford Brimley, later, I don't know if he was the Quaker Oats guy at this time, but, you know, every time, and obviously diabetes, you know, send in for your diabetes testing supplies. Also, Wilford Brimley from Ewoks, The Battle of Endor, which is the not as well known Star Wars TV movie from the 80s, which is out of print and hard to find. But he played Noah in Star Wars Ewoks Battle for Endor. Great film. Check it out.
I love seeing a film and just looking up pretty much everything that the actors are in. Usually there's a few things I've seen and I don't make the connection till I look it up. Or I talk to you because you're a little encyclopedia over there.
I know some things. I love Clark because Clark, Richard Mazer, he always have this error of suspicion about Clark. Like, what's going on with Clark? Like, he doesn't,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I think it's because he's just like he's a big dude and he's just kind of quiet and almost too calm for the situation, you know. Makes me suspicious.
Yeah, he's very, you know, in his own world. He's his own man.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up here, yeah, there's some like watching some home movies. This is a terrible stag party. For you kids out there, a stag party is what they used to do in the 50s. All these men would get around and watch old dirty movies on a projector. Typically in their garage or undisclosed warehouse. The more you know.
Undisclosed warehouse.
Yeah.
That's what they're hoping for on this. Not quite what they expected.
So I'm wondering, and they may have said, I believe they bring it up, but do they state why they're out there? Outpost 31. Like, why the fuck are they in Antarctica?
I never caught why they were out there to begin with. It might be
It's
in
like,
there. For those people who go like digging deep into these movies, somebody might know. Your
They look
Outpost
like-
31 dude would probably know.
I think they're mining for fuel because you do see the fuel, but I wasn't sure if that was just fuel they were using for the outpost. But I always assumed it was like they were looking for fuel out there in Antarctica, which would make sense. But who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure what else they would be out there for him?
Research. Yeah, it's
Yeah, research team.
research.
I guess
But
maybe it's implied more than
they're just researching
outright
things.
talked about.
Yeah. They're researching how well these men can live together without. It's like it was a proto real world, Big Brother.
Yeah. Get a bunch of guys together from all different backgrounds.
Yeah, I thought this is awesome map painting here. I thought this kind of looked like the Millennium Falcon a little bit.
Yeah.
From Star Wars.
This is, for some reason, this is the part I always remembered watching this as a kid. I always remembered the dogs, and then I always remembered this scene for some reason. I guess it struck me, but it's really well done. I think it still holds up pretty well.
It's awesome because it is, and how wide it's shot, and you get the vastness of where they're at. It's good because it builds the set. It makes Antarctica a character in its own right, and the spaceship.
Yeah. Makes you feel how large this thing actually is.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, so I don't know. You would think some of the other scenes would have stuck out in my mind as a kid, but I don't know. I watched it when I was young. I think I watched this before I saw Escape from New York with my dad, but we watched this and I loved it. My dad's like, you need to see Escape from New York. So we ended up getting on like a Kurt Russell kick in my pubescent years. So maybe that has something to do with my love of Kurt.
Your formative years, mine too. I have a soft spot for Kurt Russell. I'll watch anything he's in at least once.
Yeah.
But yeah. He was not supposed to play R.J. McCready, actually, believe it or not. No, they were doing a casting call, and then I just love the line that he says, I don't believe any voodoo bullshit. And then Palmer...
He's very superstitious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody has such good character.
That's what's great about it. That's what really makes this movie. It's like you can relate. Everybody knows that crazy guy who has conspiracy theories. Everybody knows the sweet old man, Well,
they spend a lot of time together, like outside of, they spend all their time together, really.
Yeah.
They kind of became their own little, I don't know, little frat group almost. Well, they were, rehearsing and stuff like that. They lived together in the town, and then they had to ride the bus up to set. So they became really close.
Yeah.
I think that's what helps it with its authenticity with this group.
Absolutely.
The dynamic.
Yeah, living with each other, like method acting almost. Actually, just kind of method by necessity, it seems. Yeah.
Yeah. No choice.
Here coming up, yeah, he's playing some asteroids. We don't got much, but we got Quaker Roads. No, we got Quaker Roads and we got Atari.
That's all we need up here.
That's all we need. My diabetes. He's getting this is his assimilation.
Like, this is how diabetes. Yeah.
Diabetes is going to assimilate my entire body by the time I'm 50.
They're like, so this is this thing? They're like, no, it's just the diabetes test. Hold on, let me show you what the thing actually does.
Yeah. No, this is something else. I was doing a blood test earlier. My sugar.
Yeah, it was a personal thing. Don't ask me about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. Probability that I will get diabetes, 110%.
That look on his face.
Yeah, he's definitely got a face for radio. I like him better with it. I like him with the I love you, Wilford Brimley. Don't if you ever listen to this, don't take that. Give me a good old
Don't hate
don't
Will.
hate me. Don't hate me. You can give me
I
a
didn't
poke
say
in the
anything
chops
about
if you say. I just said his face kind of looked like an old sock in that photo or in that scene. He's got the Smirnoff too. Max, the JB guy, and then you know. Speaking of which,
so what's he holding on to here? Is that a torn shirt?
Those are the drawers. Remember, Knowles walked in and he said, "Which one of you foul men, whatever, left your drawers in the kitchen?" So somebody shredded their clothes and threw it in the kitchen. So that's a little five shadowing, as we like to call.
Yeah.
It's got the banquet beer too, the Smokey and the Bandit special. And just to kind of, reiterate on the score, it's there, it's pulsing, it's low and droning. So great. Building the tension slightly in the background.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that this the score was nominated for a Razzie in 1983. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I know everybody hated this movie. I mean, that's been overstated.
The score was. I don't think it won, but it's still nominated for a Razzie of worst musical score. If you can believe that.
Well, you were born after 1983, right? 82.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was born a couple years after this movie came out. And let's just say anybody that saw this movie in 1982 and hated it was fucking stupid. You can quote me on that. I don't care if I offend listeners with that. This movie is fucking great. I'm sure there were people that liked it, but
I'm sure there were. I don't know. It's harder back then too, because like the word of mouth, that's all you got. So the few people who saw it and liked it had to get the word out.
Yeah.
And these days it would spread a lot quicker. I think even with all that, I don't know. That's probably part of it, honestly.
It did.
There just wasn't a place for people to talk about it together as easily.
It's good. I mean, the technology of the day, to not get on a rant, is good and bad, because if whatever way the main vibe is from the majority of the internet, that's kind of what you get. And that was just the same with this, but it was just the box office. It was just people did not show up and champion this movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, good and bad to each.
However, though, in the subsequent years in rental, it just grew and grew and grew. It assimilated our zeitgeist.
Assimilated the shelves.
It did. That's how it got known. It was, that's how
That's how I found out about it.
Yeah.
It said cover artwork. I was like, can we rent that? Let's do that. But I was a little too young at first.
Yeah, you could have handled it.
I think so. Yeah. No, I eventually did. I mean, I was pretty young when I did eventually see it, but I love the cover art.
It's the best. It's my favorite. And then Drew Struzan, shout out.
Yeah.
And then this is great because you just see windows. This is, it's just, you don't see, it's implied enough. You just see Bennings. Just get it enough, because I'm more of a fan of kind of like Body Snatchers, where you see the pods like a little bit, but I don't necessarily need to see the entire step-by-step assimilation. I like the paranoia, and that's what this movie thrives on.
Me too.
It gives you enough. I just love the lighting too, the cool blue lights bouncing off the snow.
Yeah. I mean, this stuff is hard to light, especially when it's a very monochromatic movie. It's, almost black and white sometimes.
Yeah.
This part is so disturbing.
I love the sound he makes.
Oh, me too.
Very similar, once again, to
Yeah,
the
Body
Invasion
Snatchers.
Body Snatchers. Yeah,
That's what it always made me think of.
yeah.
Yeah, which was that always disturbed me.
The sound they make in Body
Oh, it's
Snatchers.
just something about like, well, the sound and just their mouth opening like that and the stare. Oh,
Right. Like it's pretty insane to, we're genuine fear on Gary's face. He just doesn't get it.
yeah.
He doesn't get it.
Yeah. He's like in shock right now.
Yeah. But Mac is the voice of reason.
Oh yeah, he jumps into action. He doesn't really wait around. He kind of makes a decision and goes for it. There's no him and hawing.
Yeah.
And even his like thought to kind of double burn it.
It's like, let's just burn.
He's like, we
ship.
already burned it, but we're gonna really burn it.
So this is a good time to mention that this is actually when Carpenter finally agreed to do the remake. He wanted to keep it closer to the actual story that it's based off of by Who Goes There.
Yeah.
And
he still veers off of that a little bit, but yeah, it's much closer to that story.
He does. And what I found out recently is that John W. Campbell is actually a pseudonym for Don A. Stewart, and he was a editor of the publication Astounding Science Fiction. They were like these old, period articles with like little sci-fi stories in them. And he a lot of people looked to him and looked to his story. He was kind of a tastemaker and a forerunner on the science fiction side of things, and he inspired a lot of people.
That's cool. I didn't know that. It'd be cool to go back and like read some of those. I don't know if they're archived out there digitally.
You can find them. Sometimes you can find them. When I was working at a bookstore, I found some. They're out there. Yeah, I mean, some of them can be pricey, obviously, especially the one with Who Goes There, because for obvious reasons, because this is such a big movie now. I mean, before this got big, you could probably find it cheap, but.
That'd be cool. I like those old school stories, but.
Jack Finney, who wrote Body Snatchers, which was the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, was inspired by Who Goes There. So actually, The Thing kind of inspired Invasion of the Body Snatchers, if you can think about that. Like, well, that's kind of
that's an interesting back and forth to think about.
Yeah, if you really think about that, because how many times each movie's been. I mean, The Thing
inspired each other in different media throughout the years.
Yeah. But the cool thing about Stewart is he wanted sci-fi stories based in, human characteristics and in science. So that's why, a lot of the feeling when Carpenter, got with Bill Whitney, the screenwriter, they kind of made sure there was a lot of humanistics. And here we go. Some action picking up here. Blair going fucking nuts.
Got the whole crew in the hallway here.
Yeah, he's got a fucking gun. Fuck that. And an axe.
Yeah. Windows has got a bit of a head injury. There's always little details about this I always forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll notice the more you see Childs from now on throughout the movie, you might notice that there's always clever ways of hiding his left hand.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of this coming up because he got into a car accident, I guess, the first day of shooting and broke his hand.
Jeez.
So, so they had to find clever ways to cover up his hand, and you'll see a lot of that in this scene. And then here and there throughout the rest of the movie, you'll kind of see he's always wearing a glove or something's just in the way. And I guess you would never know unless you found out about that, but it's just an interesting little thing.
That's awesome.
And you see it there. He just pokes around.
Right. I'll kill you. The Yosemite Sam. I love the perfect way to stop a table. And
The
coming
table,
up,
yeah.
one of my favorite Foley sounds, the punch that they hit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I just love those. It's like it's straight like up kung fu punch sounds, like Foley right there.
Like,
oh man,
maybe they cut their budget on that one a little bit.
I love it.
You know
It's memorable. I'm still loving it to this day every time. And good acting by Kurt Russell shaking his hand. It's like, yeah, that was fucking loud, buddy. Clark coming unglued. I mean, his whole life is dogs, you know. I'd rather see.
He kind of seems like the odd man out, really, of the team, honestly, because you don't see him interacting as much with anybody else as they do with each other. He's just a quiet guy that loves his dogs.
He does. That's his thing. Bullshit. That was not an ADR.
No.
When in Escape from LA, a little Kurt Russell story, when he met Bruce Campbell, his son always laughed about there's pretty bad ADR in Evil Dead 2 where he says tool shed, and then Kurt Russell ribbed Bruce Campbell about it the first time he met him.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
I just saw the 4K restoration of that not too long ago, and 4K restorations are cool, but at the same time they also allow you to notice a lot of things that they were hoping you probably wouldn't notice back in the day.
Not in this movie, though. Not in this movie. This movie is
not so much.
Flawless. But yes.
Oh, look at that shot, Kurt. That backlight on his hair. He keeps a tight hold of that hat, too, the whole movie.
Yeah, he dreamy.
Must be his lucky hat.
I like that he didn't take his Smirnoff.
Oh, no.
Everybody's geared up.
Yep. Look at that.
If this movie was made today, it would be sponsored by the North Face or Panagia.
Oh, yep, I'm sure. Got to get your sponsors in these days, right?
They had JB and Smirnoff. They were good.
So everybody splits up.
The classic thing you shouldn't do.
Right. Don't they know they're in a horror movie?
In a horror movie laden with paranoia. Where no one can really trust it.
They really shouldn't be splitting up.
Yeah, like to harken back to the line, trust is a hard thing these days. Hard to come by these days, rather.
Somebody got to the blood. The way he says that sounds like a vampire.
Somebody get to the blood. It was Dr. Acula. Who got to the blood?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a YouTube channel that talks about this scene. Does a pretty
Okay.
good job. Called Collective Learning.
Okay.
And he kind of combs through the movie to kind of find out and theorize who sabotaged the blood. And it's kind of an interesting watch. It's definitely something to check out kind of on your own, because it does a really good job, better than I could do. And there's never any definitive answer. I mean, there's just some theories, but we know that Windows had the keys and then dropped them when he saw Bennings being assimilated.
That is true.
But who picks him up after that?
Who do you think?
I have a couple thoughts. Weirdly enough, I think maybe Norris or maybe Palmer. Somebody picks him up.
So Norris, you're going with Norris or Palmer?
I'm always suspicious because you don't see Norris for so long, and then he just kind of like shows back up later.
Same with Palmer too. So
yeah, I'm always suspicious of them because they disappear. Neither of them are in the scene.
That's a good point.
What are they doing right now?
I don't know.
But yeah, it's an interesting thing to check out if you're really digging the movie and you want to kind of dive into it more, theorize a bit. It's a little bit of fun. Oh, there he is.
But he just kind of showed, but they
wasn't
were
in
off
that wide shot.
He wasn't in. None of those guys were in that wide shot. So he just walked up. We didn't see. It's not a continuity thing because maybe he just walked up. Who knows?
He just snuck up from the back. He's a quiet guy too. Him and Clark.
Yes, you gotta watch him. Watch the quiet ones.
Those quiet ones.
Windows to me is the least. If anybody, I would be more surprised if Windows was the one, because he just seems like the least likely guy to do that.
Me too. I agree. I don't know. He seems so genuinely just like wigged out by the whole situation.
Yeah.
He's also got like most likely a concussion at this point.
Yeah. So in the shots, I love this shot actually. This is
Me too.
And look at just Keith David, just child. He's just like, fuck, I don't trust anybody. Just all in the eyes and the face. Great acting.
Yeah.
Can't be stated enough. But when they were on set, the guys drank coffee to show their breath because the set was refrigerated, but it wasn't quite cold enough. So Carpenter had them drink coffee so you could see their breath to see it was actually cold. And
that's interesting.
Another thing is they contemplated shooting it. The original Howard Hawks, Kristen Ivey version was shot in an ice house. And they contemplated going down there, and John Carpenter went there, and he's like, "No way, it's too fucking cold. We're not doing this." Like they went to they did scout a location for the actual ice house that it was shot at, and they're like, "Fucking no, we're not doing this. Too cold." Absolutely not. Which I thought that was funny.
That is funny. I heard it was like still decently cold there because they couldn't use the heaters. It kept like melting all the snow off the outpost and ruining like the outdoor shots.
Oh, yeah.
So they had to bring like little heat, like just little vicinity heaters, little plug-in ones, instead of turning the heat on.
Yeah. I love this scene.
Yeah.
It's become a meme as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I was mentioning that. The most popular one I see is like dating in your 30s, and it's just this quote coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was pretty early on when he found those.
Yes.
Yeah, this is, I feel like, one of the only times you see him really reflecting on the situation in a less authoritative manner. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
Like he still knows what he wants to kind of say, but it's kind of nice to see some insight into him. He looks really nervous too.
He does. I like the framing in the scene right before that, or the shot. Sorry, the shot right before that. Kind of similar to what we're going with now. With the, I mean, we're coming out of the throes of COVID-19, at least the first wave of it. But you know, everybody prepare their own meals. Watch what you do. Like how reflective this movie has become.
Get too close to each other. I know this movie's hitting too close to home.
Yeah. I like this too. It's just like power goes out, and just like the fade.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Yeah. Blue lighting. I'm a sucker for the cool blue lighting. And it came from this. That's where my love for it came from, was this, and then later on Dario, because I saw this before I seen any Dario Argento films, but he's known for his great lighting and
bold colors.
Yep. Lens flare. I love lens flare in movies too. They digitally remove it and it drives me nuts. Like, it doesn't bother me. I know it's.
I think it's okay to have it. Just maybe not excessive.
I like watching a movie. I know it's not real. If the story's good enough, if 99% of it's good enough, I'll get lost in the movie. Lens flare is fine.
Yeah, I feel like it's something most people shouldn't notice.
Right.
But I guess if it's excessive to the point where you notice it over top of the story, then there's more problems than just that going on.
Absolutely.
Got the bullshit. You can yell at me anytime.
I bet. He'll put you right in line. You'll cut your bullshit.
I'll cut my bullshit for him.
So many great scenes in this movie. It's just wonderfully paced. A lot of the complaints when this initially launched in the theaters was like it was so slow and plotting and then visceral. So like people didn't like it. They thought it was boring, and then they thought it was too over the top with the effects. But I think that's its strengths. I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's and
me neither.
Love this.
There's like little moments like this which I love too.
Yeah.
Like dark. I find it darkly humorous.
Yeah,
this whole scene.
It's great. I don't. I kicked the corona. I kicked the COVID. I'm fine.
I'm not sick anymore. Not convincing. McCready
Click.
doesn't believe you.
I always love. That's just the ultimate insult. Just like the slow close, and
Yep.
with the news, just that noose imply.
Oh yeah, his like casual noose just hanging out, just in case he needs it.
Just a casual noose. It speaks for itself. It's so hilarious. Oh, so great.
Yeah, they find his glasses, right? Yeah.
Oh, Fuchs. He was paranoid AF.
Mm-hmm. What do you think happened to him?
Yeah, probably. I think what McCready said.
Yeah.
Maybe he burned himself before he could get to him because he was
That or he broke and he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna kill myself. But I don't think he would kill himself by burning unless he was, in danger.
right.
I don't know if I always just miss this part, but he's like, I want to go up to my shack because the light's on. But we never like find out what happened, do we?
Yeah, we do.
There, and then what?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
They'll show you. They did the fade, the TV fade.
The TV
Yeah.
fade,
Yeah, I always the fades are really weird in this movie. Not in a bad way. They're just characteristic of. They remind me of television fades more than film fades.
Mm-hmm. Weirdly enough, I think it works.
Yeah, it does.
I think that's a hard thing. I think that's kind of a hard thing to pull off in an actual movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I say this every time. I love this movie so much. And I've seen it so many times, but there's always things I forget or things I pick up every time I watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about this movie is I know pretty much what's going to happen, but I still have the same. I'm still as invested, and I still, have the same amount of tension and don't know what the hell's going on. Anticipation, trepidation.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
It's very good actors, score, the sets, and then when we do get a crescendo of violence or gore or what have you, it's amazing. It all fits. It all comes together perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Palmer. You got the crazy eyes going on. I don't trust Palmer.
He always has crazy eyes.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he was a thing since birth.
Maybe.
Windows is telling everybody to shush. Like,
Huh?
That one shot, like Palmer's got just like spit just flying out of his mouth. That backlight. He's really into that scene.
Definitely became a Marx Brothers sketch there for a while. For a second.
Yeah.
In a good way. That's an ode to The Shining.
Yeah.
Here's Shouts.
McCready, always with a plan.
Yeah.
He's ready.
Fuck off. It's like, fuck. Okay.
Like I always say, I'm so clumsy I'd probably blow myself up by accident.
Right. That's a bold move.
I know.
Unless, which I doubt, he took out the charges. I mean, like, hollowed him out, but he wouldn't have enough. He didn't have fucking enough time. He was freezing to death.
No. Norris tries to be a hero.
Yeah.
Oh no, that flare's pretty close.
Yeah. Oh no. Norris is definitely.
Norris.
He's having a day.
Yeah, Norris reminds me of like a nerdy uncle or something.
Yeah.
Just like a wholesome dude that likes his mashed potatoes.
He's your typical uncle. Oh no. He ate too much. He ate too much at Thanksgiving.
The guy who plays him actually ended up dying of a heart attack at 54.
That's unfortunate. Rest in peace. I love his nose ring.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I noticed that last time I watched it. For the first time that he has a nose ring.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's real or if they just like put it in for the character.
It helps with CPR. Here we go. We're losing. Yeah.
We're gonna escalate here, maybe.
Oh. Jesus.
Oh my god, that's so nasty.
Oh. Oh.
Oh yeah. Oh, I like all the vibrating at the table. Oh my god.
And just the shit. And you see it all.
Oh yeah. Doesn't hide anything.
No.
I like that. I like that it's well lit.
That was a once again another stylistic choice. Look at this. Bravo team. This is the famous
Oh my god.
famous Blair monster. Famous Norris monster.
Yes.
And
so I heard that it took him like 10 hours just to set this scene up. The most intensive scene of the whole movie, I think.
yes.
Everything had to go right.
Didn't they almost have to do it again, but they salvaged it?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
Because I thought it almost like they're like, oh no, we can get it, but it was like he just
Well, it relied on like 3 or 4 people doing like pushing and pulling things all at the exact right time, and I guess they weren't sure if they got it, but they did.
And then the thing with Rob Bottin. So 2 notes. Oh, I just love this. It's the spider. It's just you get to see it evolve in front of the camera.
It's like a combination of like puppetry, isn't it? Puppetry and animatronic. Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
So fucking creepy.
I'd love to see more stuff like this these days. It just there's a look to it that's just so different.
All right. It just I like how it just cruises on by like don't mind me.
Creep away.
Such a great line.
Oh, I love how it stops to get blown up.
Yeah, it's just like,
like
did I make it?
You're creeping away just fine.
Yeah, it's like, do you guys believe me? Guys, is this cool? No, okay.
No, all right. Maybe if I don't move, they won't see me.
Yeah. 2 things about Rob Bottin. Well, one of them was a direction from John Carpenter. He said, "For your health," quoting Dr. Steve Brule ahead of it. Rob Bottin was told that Carpenter wanted to see the devil or the creature in the light, and he took him at word. He's like, absolutely. And he said even then, like when he was on set, he kept telling Carpenter to turn the lights up higher or brighter so
oh,
they
really?
could see it. So I thought that was pretty funny. And
It works. I think that's pretty bold.
Yeah, and he also had to invent this. Like when he went to Carpenter with his designs, he's like, Jesus, how are you going to do all this? When he went with the storyboards, he's like, no one's done this, and I haven't done this. Oh, and Clark gets it. Trying to step in on McCready, and we will see you later in It. He was in the TV version of It. He played Stanley. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Richard Mazer. He's been in quite a few things, but that was one of the next major things he was in was It, Stephen King, with Tim Curry.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But yeah, John Carpenter and Rob Bottin, just perfect match made in heaven. Took a little while to get the recognition.
Did they work again together after this, or was this like the major thing they did together and just kind of?
This is what they're known for. This is like their major thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you know, Rob Bottin worked on tons of things after this. He's been been on all kinds of movies, and he's kind of like Savini and Nicotero. It's like once they got made, you know, everybody wants you, you know.
I think it's cool that back in the day, you just kind of, if you wanted to do something, you just kind of fished around and found somebody that didn't mind teaching you, you know.
Yeah.
Like these days, it's like sometimes it's hard to get a job anywhere without having, you know, an official degree and all this crazy stuff. You know, it's harder to find that like family dynamic where people just want to share their talents regardless of, you know, what background you have. It's just not as common.
No, not at all. So Rob Bottin, he did work with Carpenter before this on The Fog, and he actually played one of the characters in The Fog, one of the main pirates in The Fog. And then, like I said, he worked on Piranha before this with Joe Dante, and then The Howling before. He went on to work on the Twilight Zone movie. He helped on Legend with Darkness with Tom Cruise and Mia Sara. He helped on RoboCop, worked on Total Recall, Basic Instinct, Seven, which is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, that has some good effects on it.
Yeah. Seven's great. Very forgotten, I think, in the sense of the special effects that went into it. You know?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes overlooked a bit.
Yeah.
People like think back on that movie and they don't specifically talk about the special effects in it, but sizzle.
This test scene is really great.
It's really tense.
It is. Rob Bottin's had quite a career. He worked on Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's probably one of the most recent things, huh?
Yeah. And then an underrated classic that we should probably review or talk about here on Signals from Pittsburgh, Humanoids from the Deep, which is a Roger Corman classic. Not directed by Roger Corman, but came out under New World Picture.
I'm down.
Poor guys. And then there were two. Or Copper.
Like how the blood like bubbled on that one.
Yes.
Just kind of exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scene takes so long, and I think it's perfect because of it.
Hmm.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, so startling.
Yep. Fuck.
I'm curious how they did that. I can't find anything on how they
made the blood
made
move.
that happen. Yeah.
It had to be an in camera, but I don't. That's a good.
It was probably like on a vertical, like a slant or something, just like a replica of the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Oh my god, this looks so good. I can
Yes.
never find anything on this either. I just want to know how everything was made. I can't get enough.
Yeah, that's is such a great with him flight. I always like things flying up in the ceiling like that. Very
Oh, his face. Look at it.
demonic. Jesus, he's one of the most grotesque-looking creatures.
I think so too. And he's like I think one of the quickest moving.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I wonder, I don't know. Like my theory, I think he's been assimilated for a long time. I think he was assimilated really early. So he's had a long time to kind of blend in.
That hit there was, solid. And then poor Windows is done now.
Yeah, so Palmer, I think it's kind of interesting from a filmmaking perspective during the blood test. They bust through there like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah, real, not to cut you off, but this is a real guy on real fire. No CG. That's what I always loved. And I love that explosion. Fucking kill him. There'd be CG blood and bits. Nowadays, it's CG blood and bits and all that, but it's like, no, he's I love that. But real guys on real fire.
Oh, yeah, everybody's still tied up. They're like, oh, God.
Yeah.
No, but like through a filmmaking perspective, in almost every scene that's like a medium or a close-up, you have an highlight on the character. And it's just something subtle that gives life to the character. Throughout the whole blood test scene, Palmer doesn't have an highlight. And I feel like that had to have been on purpose to kind of maybe hint that he was the thing.
So it's a giveaway, kind of like in Blade Runner with the reflection in their eye, like the red, like mirror reflection in their eyes. Yeah,
like a very subtle thing that you might not really notice, but maybe subconsciously you can feel it's off.
That's cool. There's a point later in the movie too where something like that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that. I never noticed that.
I know. I'd be fed up.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the cut where he's just sitting alone. He started this shit too. Gary, he like does it twice. He's like, okay, let's try it.
Okay, yeah, I got to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great line.
Oh, one of my favorite lines in the whole movie.
He was waiting
so
for that. He was waiting for that.
I guess in the script it wasn't like meant to be yelled. It was supposed to be calm, but they ended up reading it that way after like testing it, just kind of going through their practice and stuff. They're like, I think we're better, which I do too after that whole scenario. Jeez.
Yeah. Childs is kind of just the silent badass.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I also, this is before the trope, and there's a cool documentary series on Shudder about black noir. But what I liked about this movie is you have Knowles and you have Childs, and they're not like the typical African American guy gets killed off first in the movie. They're both, they hang in there. And Childs, he's kind of like I said, one of the co-stars. So I like that John Carpenter made like realistic characters and not, where a lot of directors unfortunately fall into the tropes of stereotypical tropes.
Yeah, I feel like nobody really follows the stereotype in this movie, other than splitting up after you know something's fishy. But
right. The one that the most dangerous one.
Yeah, that one trope that's the most dangerous thing.
Especially in this film.
Well, yeah, that's too bad too, because like at this point, nobody else, like right after the blood test, at that point, everybody should be all good.
Everybody should know you would be, you're not
Technically,
fucking.
now you should really stick together. Nobody splits up now.
Yeah.
Because you know
You're
you're
not
all set.
leaving me. Yeah.
So there's always like all these theories about Norris and like how he became infected and stuff. And it is mentioned, I think, by Fuchs that there's potential for like food contamination and stuff, and they didn't really start worrying about that until after it was kind of late in the movie. And like how you can be infected on a cellular level if you're not careful. So it makes me wonder if Norris was infected on like a cellular level really early on. Well, and it just took a while before he was taken over.
Was he who we saw eating?
I think so at the beginning.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of theories on that. I don't think there's anything solid, but I mean, they mention it. They mention a lot of things in passing about how you could kind of, get infected. And I'm not sure if some of them are just kind of red herrings. This could happen. Makes you start thinking about it a little more.
Absolutely. That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool to think about somebody getting infected that way and maybe like becoming the thing in a more subtle way instead of all the dramatic stuff that you get with like a bite or being wrapped in tentacles, but just a more slow moving takeover.
I love this. That's, yeah.
I'd love to warm things up around here with him.
Outstanding.
Good idea.
Good things nice and toasty.
Yeah. No problem, Kurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. But can you believe that? As I was mentioning earlier, he wasn't even supposed to be R.J. McCready. They were doing it.
Yeah, I can't imagine him as anyone else, honestly. But
yeah, there were some names tossed around. I think I may be spitballing here, but I thought I read somewhere Tom Selleck or something, or somewhere of that, some people of that nature. But yeah, and then finally it was just like Carpenter was like, "Well, maybe you should play him," and then Kurt was like, "Okay," like
okay, sure,
because he did like such a great job, and right before this, in Escape from New York.
Yeah, I think it was the right choice.
Yeah, though Kurt Russell says Snake Plissken will forever be his favorite character, and I don't blame him. And
me too.
Nobody beats Snake Plissken. Yeah, right.
I agree. Have all my favorite snakes, Snake Plissken, and I'm a huge Metal Gear series fan. So I like my Solid Snake, my Naked Snake. I like them all. Venom Snake.
And Solid Snake was based off Snake Plissken, so.
Oh, Snake Plissken, yeah. He even uses the code name in the second game.
Yeah.
He doesn't say Snake Plissken, but it's an obvious.
It's a nod.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he doesn't say Snake Plissken, but he's like, you can call me Plissken. Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Right.
Anyway, I'll nerd out on that if you let me go.
Well, maybe, we could definitely hop in and do an Escape from New York at some point.
Yeah. I'm not going to say no. Looks so good.
Oh yeah, this I believe So I think this is the set. Yeah, this is the set. But this is how, showing the breath, he had them drink coffee here.
This is where my character would die. I'd probably fall down those steps and bust my head open.
You would fall. I would probably fall down the steps, holding the flare into a barrel of like kerosene or some shit.
Catch yourself on fire.
Right, catch myself on fire and then roll around for stop, drop, and roll into more kerosene and blow up.
That's about our luck, right?
Right.
It's how the world feels right now, guys. Stick together, guys.
It's like, nope, we're gonna split up.
Nope. I don't see why they need to split up. There's no need to be extremely, I mean, you want to be quick about this, but if you just all go together and kind of power walk.
Right. They have, I guess they're on a timetable. They have 6 hours, so they want to make sure they get this shit rocked out,
They could do this in 6 hours. Come on. What do I know? Maybe they couldn't.
We've kind of succumbed to death.
Oh yeah, I guess they've kind of accepted it. They're just trying to stop it at this point.
Yeah, they made a heroic choice.
They probably won't make it, yeah.
Yeah. To sacrifice themselves for the greater good. Gary.
There it is. Oh, I kind of want to know how they did this too. It's reminds me of Society.
It's the shunting, yes. He was like, what if wait a minute. So what if is the alien the same creature from Society? Is it from that Society? Maybe it's one of those. Maybe this is the story how it got here and then moved to LA.
The prequel, yeah. It got smart from assimilating all these guys, and they're like, all right, I got to take a different approach. I'll go to LA. Just like every good plan starts.
If you were in fucking Antarctica, where's the first place you would go?
Oh, dude, LA.
Exactly. You want to get away from the fucking...
Assimilate some people in high society. Spread from there. I think we're onto something.
I think you're right. And I think it would cause so much trouble. There would be so much confusion and disarray that you would probably want to escape from LA if you were not part of society.
It's pretty good.
So it's all linked.
It's all connected.
So I believe we don't see Knowles for the rest of the movie, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But what's weird is that I think that was the last time we saw Knowles in this movie.
Yeah, he just kind of walks off. That's it. This part's pretty intense too, because something's gonna happen.
Right,
and it's just nothing for so long.
It's like, fuck it.
He knows too. He's like, I have enough time to light this because I know something's coming.
He's like, I've been waiting long enough.
Don't want to keep McCready waiting. I wouldn't.
Lord knows. Very cool. I love the tentacle. I love that it's smart enough. It's like, F you, you're not blowing me up.
It's like, I know what's going on. He's assimilating the knowledge of everybody else. He knows the plan.
Blair Monster. And look at that pup.
Oh, yeah.
So great.
like a mix of Blair and Gary and dogs, just like a mass of everything it's ever come in contact with. Oh yeah, part of his face is still up there.
Fuck you too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the few shots of the creature where it's kind of in the dark.
Yeah. Well, they had a lot of trouble with that one, didn't they? Just kind of getting it done. It was such a huge, you know, you don't see it for very long, but
no. And they were initially going to use more. I think they initially were going to use more of a stop motion tactic with that one, like more so.
they
But
fully animated the stop motion version of it. They like completed it and everything, and then they still built this practical thing, and they're like, we like the way the practical one looks, so they use that instead. But
yeah, which has got to be maddening because, you know,
yeah, for the
so
stop
much
motion
time.
artist,
Yeah.
I think it was Susan, wasn't it, that did all the stop motion and the miniatures?
I think so.
So it'd be kind of a bummer to like animate the whole thing and then have it not be used, but the footage is out there. The whole scene is animated.
So it's time for the big reveal. I asked Brittany early on in the episode who she thought the one female in this movie was, other than obviously Adrienne Barbeau's cameo voice as Chess Wizard. There is one female in this movie, according to John Carpenter. And according to the Rue Morgue Thing Halloween special, the one female is, in fact, the Thing, the creature he considers, at least in his mind, to be female.
According to Carpenter, you heard it. You heard it here first, or second, if you read the Rue Morgue.
So there you have it, folks. The Thing is female. Well, at least according to John Carpenter.
Such a good line.
Great line. That line was written by Kurt Russell. That was not in the original script. He just kind of came up with that. Yep. That's kind of how.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And then here, okay, the entire scene, you don't see Child's breath, but you see MacReady's breath. And then there's a theory, you know, which is all pretty much but been accepted, that Child's is the Thing because it's believed that MacReady dumped all the alcohol and turned them into Molotov cocktails with the kerosene. So most people believe that he just gave them. Yeah, if we'll drink it.
Well, that's why people think he gives that little chuckle at the end too. Like, yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
But then there's other people that are like, oh, it was just the way the scene was lit. You couldn't really see his breath from that angle of the light. So.
And also, if you're dying, you know, fuck, who cares if you drink kerosene, you know?
Yeah, you're like, give me something.
He's like, fuck, this will fuck me up all the same, you know? I don't have to worry about living. So
at that point.
Right, exactly. So that's our first, that concludes our first watch along. Got a little, some outro notes here coming up shortly. But I'm a big fan of always watching the credits and giving credit where credit is due.
Me too. I always watch the credits. It drives me nuts when I'm with a group at a theater that just like gets up and walks out the instant the credits start.
You wouldn't do that.
I don't know. Just you watch the whole movie. Just sit there and watch for a little longer. You paid for it.
You paid for it.
I like to look.
Yeah. Fred fucks.
Sure does.
Tom waits as windows.
But not the Tom
Not the Tom Waits.
Waits. The
but Tom Waits.
Norwegian. They don't even give him a name.
The Norwegian who speaks Swedish.
Swedish.
The Swedish Norwegian.
So I have a friend. Her name is Angie, and she makes edible sculptures, mainly movies and horror themed, and they're so good. But she did a Thing themed one where she made little blood bowls with like little creatures coming out of it, and it was so well done. But she makes all sorts of cool stuff. She's got an Instagram, AngieLaineMakes, and I'll put it in the description somewhere. But she's a great artist. I mean, I can't imagine working with food the way that she does. It's just it always turns out so well. You almost don't want to eat it.
That sounds really cool. Definitely, I've seen some of her stuff. It's great. I'm trying to talk her into making me a Necronomicon meatloaf. No one steal that idea. And if you do steal that idea, put it up on Instagram or Twitter and tag us at Signals from Pittsburgh. Yeah, check out Angie. Give her some love. She's a super creative artist. We were talking the other day, and I said she was making stamps, and I said, how cool would it be if you made a They Live stamp, and like within 20 minutes she had the stamp up and ready to go. I'm like, holy shit! Like, definitely check her out. Shout out to Ange. So in doing some research, I'm going to give a couple reference points. Further reading for The Thing. Horror Hound issue number 31 has a great retrospective on The Thing with interviews from John Carpenter, which is a lot where I pulled some of my information, and a great article in here called Remembering the Thing from Howard Hawks to John Carpenter 60 years later, written by a friend of mine, John Kitley. You can see him at Horror Hound. He's always selling cool books. I met him one day. We were just hanging out. Went back when I was drinking beers, and he had a whole group of people just talking about movies. So John loves to talk about movies. He loves to read about movies and write about movies. So thank you, John, for that great article. I was able to pull some good stuff out of there. And also Rue Morgue, their 10th anniversary Halloween issue, which was number 72, published in October 2007. There is a huge spread on the Thing. And The Thing is actually about to celebrate another anniversary. It'll be, it's coming up June 25th was when this was originally released. So we're not quite at the, we're not quite at the 40th, but we're getting there in a couple years. So. And Keith David just had a birthday too. So happy belated birthday to Keith David. Check out They Live.
A good follow-up.
Any other Carpenter movie. They Live is a perfect follow-up to this. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a perfect follow-up to this.
Yes.
So many great movies.
Go into Scanners if you're looking for some more weird gore.
Definitely, yeah. It is very. What's weird is Rob Bottin. It's very much Rob Bottin, but it's got a Cronenberg body horror vibe, but not. It's there. Definitely Rob Bottin.
Yeah, it's interesting how it can be body horror, but you can almost tell the difference between like a Cronenberg body horror grossness and Bottin. It's like it's similar things, but you can still there's a difference there. There's a style that
variations on a theme.
Mm-hmm. But I was gonna say those articles that you're talking about, you can find digital versions of those on a website called Issue. And that's ISSUU. So if you can't find a physical copy, a lot of those issues and articles are up online so that you can get a chance to read them.
Check out Issue. And if you can, obviously we want to support print media, but yes. So check out the website. And if you like them so much that you're a collector, so read the articles and then, buy the issues if you like them. Keep them in pristine order, as I like to do with my stuff.
Speaking of reading, just very quickly, there's a sci-fi fantasy magazine called Clark's World magazine. I'm not sure if they do actual print anymore, but they still have a website. A man named Peter Watts submitted a story called The Things, and it's a short story written from the Thing's perspective.
Oh, wow.
And I read it, and it's pretty good, and it's really interesting to read it from the perspective of the Thing.
Oh, that's cool. So it's like a fan fiction based off the film?
Yeah, yep. So it does reference the 2011 in the Norwegian camp, and then it goes into some other interesting things. I don't want to give it all away. And then it definitely goes into this movie, and all the characters that we know and love that we just watched are referenced in there. So it's pretty interesting. We'll put that in the description too if you want to go check it out. But it's really neat. I think it's really cool, and some fan fiction can be hit or miss, but this was a really interesting take on it.
So that was John Carpenter's The Thing in all its gross out glory. And after the credits roll, many viewers look to each other and ask, what the fuck happened to Knowles? We see him helping MacReady towards the end of the film, then he just walks away and kind of disappears. I always assumed he was just assimilated off screen. And unfortunately, that's what we had to go with now. However, there initially was to be a scene where a roller skating Stevie Wonder loving cook met his graphic demise. Taking place after stepping away from Mac, Knowles, horrified by the discovery of Larry's body, would then have been violently assimilated by the Blair Box monster from behind. Later, he would show up in a scene with MacReady, tentacles ripping through his body as he begged for help. Unfortunately, the scene was never filmed due to budgetary and time constraints. Sucks. Professed by Carpenter to be his favorite film that he's ever worked on, it's easily in my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. I am still a bit bitter that it slightly derailed his career and took a beating at the box office from the much kid-friendlier E.T.
So, I did find out who the winner of the Thing Fangoria contest was. The first place winner was David Mark Fay, and this was in Fangoria number 23, November 1982. It's kind of cool. This issue actually had a few notable features, including Evil Dead on the cover, and an interesting article with Toby Hooper on Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Poltergeist. The legacy of The Thing lives on, with the 2002 video game endorsed by and including an uncredited cameo from John Carpenter himself. The game did very well and was a commercial success. I played it myself when it released, and I remembered it being challenging but fun. I was really excited about it. In 1991, Dark Horse licensed the rights to The Thing and created a 3 comic book miniseries titled The Thing from Another World. And then there is the underwhelming reboot/prequel/tie-in released in 2011 that shared the same fate as its 1982 precursor at the box office. The reboot was robbed of its original ending and practical effects footage because the studio thought the film looked too 80s. Many of us wonder what the film could have been without the interference of Universal, but the hard work of Amalgamated Dynamics was documented and can currently be viewed on their YouTube channel, Studio ADI. So check them out and see all the behind-the-scenes footage they have, including a video showing how the 2011 Thing could have looked if their work had been unaltered.
The Thing will forever hold a place in the hearts of all true horror fans. Much like the creature itself, the movie hit on the shelves of the local rental stores. It assimilated the minds of a young generation of fans that came decades after its release, and continued to survive, evolving into every form of physical media, and eventually streaming. Its popularity continues to grow stronger throughout the subsequent years since its initial release, proving the mind of man is indeed the warmest place to hide. This is Mr. Wills.
And Brittany.
Signing off. And remember to keep watching the skies. This has been Signals from Pittsburgh.